My name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to the Read Less Challenge, the challenge where I am forcing myself to pull back on my reading. Now, I do know what this sounds like. I just read so much, I have to force myself to stop. And I get it, but genuinely, right now, the rate I'm reading is crowding out other hobbies that I would also like to be participating in. And the best way to give those hobbies room to breathe is to pull back on the reading a little bit. I've been noticing that I've been missing out on a lot of opportunities to be social because I've been reading instead. For example, when I usually go to donate blood, I get off the chair and go to the snack area and immediately start reading because that's reading time. But today I decided, let me chat with some people instead. And I discovered that my donor center actually needs a new volunteer. And I started talking with them about possibly starting volunteering there. And it was a really cool moment in getting me more out into the community because I didn't choose to immediately default to reading. Or I go to local wrestling shows that me and my husband work with, and because I don't help with setup, I am always reading instead. Instead of talking to other people, hanging around and making more connections, I'm reading because that's the reading time. I got to catch up on my pages. I got a readathon. I got a challenge. I got something I have to do. And it's getting to be a little bit much. Now, part of this is because my brain is chasing a dopamine rush that it can literally never get again. Yes, I'm bragging about it again. In last August, I completed a TBR 0. For a glorious 2 hours, I had read literally every book I owned. And then I promptly put in another thrift books cart and some ebooks. But regardless, my TBR hasn't stayed that big since then, usually under 30. But that huge rush, that joy of doing the thing that so many people think is impossible was a little bit addictive, and my brain is chomping at the bit for the next thing. Now, I knew that was probably going to happen because I could feel it in myself, and so I set myself the next big challenge, second only to the 0 TBR in its mythicalness, which is catching up on all of your series, either completing the ones that are already published or getting up to date on the latest installment on the ones that are currently publishing. And that's going to take me a long time. It is equal, more or less, to a 0 TBR, and it will take me years, but my brain is just, it needs something. And so I have found myself pushing really hard in my reading to the extent that I am doing the 52 book club challenge, right? It is a challenge meant to take the entire year. It is the end of March. I am already half done. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, we might be pushing a little bit too hard. My average daily page count for January was 197. And that's when I realized, okay, we're getting to be too much because I've been trying to put more of my other hobbies in it, right? I do a lot of audiobooks and I craft while I do that. And I practiced crochet by touch so I can crochet while I read an ebook propped up on a stand. I'm a really big fan of that. But I've hit the wall. There are certain hobbies that I just can't do while reading, even with an audiobook, that I just have to pull back on reading to be able to do. And to do that, I have to give my brain a different challenge to munch on to keep it happy and keep myself feeling like the itch of not completing something fast enough while I then engage in other hobbies. Now, all of this is going to come with one giant point of clarification before we jump into the rules here. And that is, while I believe that my reading has gotten to be too much for certain reasons, I don't ever believe in telling someone else they've been reading too much. Similar discourses pop up from time to time, and I hate them every time. You have things like, the booktubers that tell you they're reading 10 books or more a month are lying. Or the people who read over 100 books a year aren't really taking in the books. It's bullshit every time. Because what you're critiquing is someone else using their daily life differently to you. Maybe they just read faster. Maybe they just like reading more than you to the extent that they're willing to do it more on their lunch breaks and use audiobooks while doing the dishes. Like, an outsider can never tell when something is too much in that respect. All right? There's never going to be a solid number across the board where you can be like, oh, the minute you hit this number, you've read too much. The person has to decide for themselves, Do I like the amount that I'm reading, or does it feel like other hobbies in my life are getting neglected? Does it feel like my reading is dominating everything else? The only other kind of person that could tell you you're reading too much is if there's someone in your life that you're supposed to be maintaining a relationship with and they feel neglected. If they're like, hey, you're using all of your free time to read instead of spending time with me, your child, spouse, sibling, whatever, that's different. But that, again, has nothing to do with the number of books and has to do with how it's affecting the rest of your life. So I don't want to hear anyone talking about this and like, oh, everyone else should be doing this type nonsense. This is for me because I don't feel like I'm in balance right now. And in all honesty, the number that I'm going to be capping myself at is probably going to be big for a lot of people. I'm probably still going to be reading a lot more than the average person, but it's going to be smaller for me. So with that said, let's jump into the rules. So what are the rules for my Read Less challenge? Number 1, my page count for the month of April cannot exceed 3,000 pages or 100 pages a day on average. This can be accomplished through either capping my daily reading, so just getting to page 100 and then stopping every day, or skipping days when the average is greater than 100. So I really was vibing with the book. I read 300 pages in one day, and then I skipped the next 2 days to keep that average at 100. And yeah, some days it'll probably be like, oh, the best stopping place is actually at page 102, and that's where we have skipping days in there. Worst comes to worst, I can just skip the last couple of days of the month and count it as good. 2, there is no minimum page requirement. Any number under 3,000 will be considered a success. So technically, I could skip all reading for the entire month and have it be a success by this metric. Now, do I think I will do that? No. Like I said, my brain is still chomping at the bit to get some reading challenges done, and I will try to still make at least some progress, just a more measured pace of it, instead of trying to rush through and beat all of my year goals by summer. But regardless, I can read less than 100 and still count it. It doesn't have to be exactly 3,100 a day. Number 3, the time not spent on reading, so all the new time in my day I'm opening up, cannot be spent on mobile games or social media. Not because I think those things are terrible. I maintain a lot of my reading on Blue Sky because that's where I find most of my review books these days. But I don't necessarily feel good after a long period of scrolling or playing mobile games. Not necessarily to the extent of doom scrolling, but mobile games especially, I can, have some temporary fun watching the numbers go up, but I don't come off of a mobile game session with the same feeling of productivity and serotonin and feeling good about what I spent my time doing than I would if I was participating in other hobbies. Even something like other video games. I don't know what it is. The mobile games just don't have the same feeling of real progression that make me feel like I've moved forward in my day. If you've never suffered from time blindness, it's really hard to explain that, but I need evidence that I have spent my time and that time moved forward. And I don't know how else to describe that. But regardless, number 4, all books read must be either for review, to continue a series, or researching for another hobby. And we'll get into that when we talk about the other stuff I'm going to be doing. But because I am going to be limiting my reading so much, I want to make sure that I'm still getting the most use out of that reading time. But I am trying to force myself to not focus on the 52 book club challenge, because I know that if I do, I'm going to end up using up all of my reading time for that, because I really want to finish that challenge super, super early, despite the fact that there's literally a prompt that says read in a month ending in BER, which means the earliest I can finish this challenge is in September 1st of this year. So there's really no reason to be rushing. Now, if my review book or continuing a series or whatever just happens to apply to a prompt, then we'll do that. But I'm not paying attention to any of my other challenges right now. I'm actually considering dropping one of my yearly challenges just because the prompts that I have left, I don't really like all that much. I don't do cover buys. Am I the only person in the community that doesn't do cover buy? Because that prompt is freaking everywhere and I never do that. But regardless, those are my rules, that I have to spend my non-reading time on other hobbies. But that brings up the question, what is that other stuff? The first one is my new music challenge because I have recently realized I need to overhaul my playlists. Something fierce. I recently started walking to work because, at first it was because we were sharing one car and it was just easier because I live close enough to walk to work. It's only about a 15-minute walk for me. But then I just realized I kind of like it. It's a whole vibe. I feel more prepared when I walk into work. You know, having that 15 minutes of like listening to music, playing Pokemon Go. I got my tea. It's so much more of a vibe. And it feels like I get my day started better. So we're going to continue with that, even though we now have a second car. We did finally buy one and monthly car payments. Woo! So not only does this help me get my day started better, but also we don't have to pay as much in gas money. Regardless, I've noticed I'm quickly tiring of my music because I'm listening to it so much more than I was before. There's an extra half hour of music listening in my day that wasn't there before. So I want to start a new music challenge where for 100 days, I will try to find 100 new tracks. Now, I've already started coming up with sources. This will start on April 1st. And there are things like my favorite pop punk band is coming out with a new album in April. And also, don't hate me, Winions, I still have to listen to the last saga of Epic, the musical. Because I have spent all this time not being prepared. The world is just too terrible, and I know it was supposed to be dark, and I just couldn't handle it. So I still got to listen to that and complete the entire musical. But regardless, I want to re-up all playlists of mine, from feminine rage to religious trauma to pop punk to show tunes to my hipster nonsense. Like, all of those playlists need an update. So I want to spend a lot more time being able to like really search and think, do I really want this song added to my playlist, and not just go for whatever's first available so that I can move on to the next thing. I want to actually like engage with the music I'm listening to. So that will be for that. The last time I tried to do a music challenge, I failed in it. I only did it for like 7 days out of the 30 I was supposed to, but second time's the charm, maybe. Number 2 is flute practice. I have long since wanted to try the flute. It was one of the instruments I was looking at when I was in 4th grade and trying to pick my instrument, and instead I went with melodic percussion, xylophone and stuff, and I don't regret that choice because it's super hard to find people that know those instruments because you have to learn them through an entire institution because they're just so expensive. And so the rarity of the skill I had meant I got pulled up into a lot of really cool opportunities that I was probably too young for looking back, but still really cool opportunities because I had such a rare skill. Whereas now I can just get a used flute off Facebook Marketplace, and there's a local band teacher that wants to make an extra $20 a week teaching a half-hour lesson. So yeah, but the knowledge that another human is going to be looking up on my progress and I will have to perform in front of another human, I'm going to practice every day. Do I even know what I'm going to do with this skill once I am an adequate player? No, I don't have any plans. I don't monetize most of my hobbies. This channel isn't even monetized. So like, I don't know. Although I do secretly hope one day to wander a Renaissance fair playing the flute like a Pied Piper. That's kind of what I'm vibing with. Don't know if that'll ever happen. But for right now, I'd settle with just being able to play it online sometimes, or just being able to play it for me. I actually really like all the button pushing. It gives me the same serotonin as typing on a keyboard. My breath control still sucks, though. My lungs are so gigantic and I'm so loud. How does my breath control suck? Okay, moving on. Number 3 is watching DVDs. That's right. I am upping my hipsterhood and I am focusing more on physical media. I have been using an external CD drive to watch DVDs on my laptop because I've realized that when I'm watching them on my own, it's actually a lot easier for me because I will just pause and get up and walk away. Whereas if I go to like the theater or I'm watching with other people, I have to just keep letting it play. And sometimes that 2 hours unbroken expanse of a narrative that I have to keep track of can be a little bit too much for my brain, but being able to pause it and walk away just for me is a lot easier. So I want to start building up my own collection, and the searches is like half the fun, right? A lot of these things that I'm looking for are almost non-existent online, like secondhand. Like I've been looking up thrift books and stuff, but are a lot more plentiful in like physical stores. So it'll be a lot of fun to like actually, be looking through all of these thrift stores and seeing what I can find. And I don't mind a long search. That's kind of the fun of it. And sometimes while you're searching, you may find a movie that you forgot should have been on your list in the first place, which has happened to me as I started looking for stuff. But my current DVD white whale, the thing that is so hard to find and will probably be more expensive than usual when I find it, if I ever find it, is the complete box set of Gallivant, the TV show. Yes, I'm one of those. I don't care. It deserved a third season. And you can tell how much the fan base loved it based on how hard it is to find the physical version. There are some sales for triple digits. But I will search. This will be my white whale. And one day, I will find it. Number 4 is the 2DS. I got this as a present many years ago when I graduated from my master's program, and I've barely touched it since. I have uncovered the fact that I don't really like platformers, so the Mario game this came with isn't much, but it also has a Pokemon game on it currently, and I do like that. So my goal is I want to start playing this more, and then if I could build a habit of it, then as we go to different toy shows and conventions that have all of these secondhand Game Boy games that this thing can play, I can build up that physical media collection. However, some of those games, especially the Pokemon ones that I'm going to want to get, are pricey. So I really need to make sure that I have a habit of this before I even try that. And yes, theoretically, this could be something I could do while listening to an audiobook, but some of the games have a lot of text, and I cannot have text in my ears and text in front of my eyes. It's too much. I don't like it. So this could probably be more something that I would do with like the music or maybe the movies, more than an audiobook where it's a lot more important to be able to listen to all of the words very closely. So this is also the one that I wonder might get dropped. It might just be that I don't like playing on such a small device. Normally I would be a PC gamer, but however, my current laptop is a very budget laptop that I got for free from my father-in-law after my last laptop got stolen. And so until I can save up for a better one, I don't have a lot of ways to play on my computer right now. Like that thing can't even handle Minecraft. So if I want to do gaming for right now, I'm stuck with this and the Wii, which means I would have to regularly kick my husband out of the living room to use the TV. So this one's probably a safer bet. But we'll see if it actually gets a lot of use, or if once I get that new laptop eventually, I end up just accepting my losses and selling this thing. Number 5 is research. There are certain aspects of my life I would like to learn more about and get more in depth. And yes, that could mean that I would read books about them, but there are also things like videos, podcasts, blogs, in-person meetups, and the like. And I want to expand my learning from just books. Things like gardening and being eco-friendly, or paganism, new forms of sewing, new kinds of crochet, things that I theoretically could do while listening to an audiobook after I've learned them, but I need to learn them first. And especially in my crochet, I've felt stalled for a while now because, you know, I have to do very certain kinds of crochet projects if I'm doing them while reading. So this would free me up a little bit more to try out new things, new stitches, new crafts, and the like, and hopefully further myself in those hobbies and create some greater sense of progression. Also in my own personal belief systems, paganism is a system that heavily emphasizes to be constantly searching and double checking in with yourself and growing. And I haven't done that in a hot minute. So in general, I just want to learn more outside of just books. But these are also the areas in which I can include the book form in my regular reading for this challenge. And the last one is the one that sounds the most exhausting, but I gotta stop dragging my feet. And that is editing and querying my own manuscripts. I have so many fully completed manuscripts, some of them already with several rounds of editing, just sitting in my files. But I got burned out on querying a while ago, and the idea of going back just makes me want to fall over. But we don't have the money to self-publish yet. Now, I probably won't be doing Lit agents, I will probably be doing indie presses, but that still means I gotta do a lot of research. I gotta look into a lot of stuff. I gotta find the best home for whatever manuscript. I really gotta hone in on one specific manuscript to go with. Like it's a lot. There is one manuscript I need to finish editing so that I can start shopping it around, because I do feel like it meets the current cultural moment, because it is a satire about having bullshit people in power. Yeah, we'll probably focus on that one. Regardless, I actually got to focus on it and do that and push through all of my leftover from years of fighting in the query trenches. To all those who are about to query, I salute you. And that is it. That is everything I want to do instead of reading over the month of April and beyond. This is as much an experiment as it is a challenge. I have no idea how this is going to go. I could discover that it actually feels really restrictive and my brain just really wants to focus on reading, and I don't like these other hobbies as much as I thought I did. Or it could be still too much and I could need to pull back even more, or it could be perfect and I go back to the amount that I used to read every day. Actually, 100 pages used to be the amount that I would shoot for and then stop when I got there. So really, this is just me returning to tradition. But I have no idea how it's going to go. I know I'm not going to stick to this all year round because I work in education, and so I have summer breaks. And so when I have a bunch of new time left in my day, I will probably up reading and other things just to fill all those gaps. But regardless, I will check in with you at the end of April to see how all of this went. If you are interested in doing a Read Less challenge, I know when I posted the blog post of this on Blue Sky, link down below, someone else mentioned that they need to do it too because they've got instruments to practice and stuff. Please let me know. What would your cap be if you needed to do this? What would you do instead of reading? I would love to learn more. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.